यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे। जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा श्रील प्रभुपदा। श्रील प्रभुपाद की ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim. Yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarane Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvichesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarane. Hare Krishna. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 2, verse 20 on the whiteboard. We'll first read the verse number 19, which doesn't have any purport by His Divine Grace. And then we'll proceed to the verse on the whiteboard. The chapter entitled, The Activities of Maharaj Agnidra. Text 19. Tasyam uha va atmajan sa rajavara Agnidro nabi kim purusha harivarshe lavrita ramyaka hiranmaya kuru bhadrashava ketumala samjnan navaputran ajanayat. In the womb of Purachiti, Maharaj Agnidra, the best of kings, begot 9 sons named Nabhi, Kimpurusha, Harivarsha, Ilavrita, Ramyaka, Hiranmaya, Kuru, Bhadrashva, and Ketumala. These are all the various Varshas in the Jambudvip. Because Agnidra was the ruler of the entire Jambudvip, as was his father Priyavrata. And all these sons, most of them, they became in charge of various Varshas. We'll, in future parts of Bhagavatam, we'll get to hear about the denizens of some of these Varshas also, how, and Dvipas also. Let's come to verse number 20 on the whiteboard. Sa sutvata sutan navanu vatsaram graha eva pahaya purva chittir bhuya evajam devam upataste. Word by word translation, word by word synonyms, translation, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Founder Acharya, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and preeminent Shiksha Guru of all devotees. Srila Prabhupada ki. Sa, she, sutva, after giving birth to. Now you can understand how the word sutak comes. Giving birth. And that there is sutak that comes in. Suta, because there is suta, there is sutak. After giving birth to. Adha, thereafter. Sutan, sons. Nava, 9. Anuvatsaram, year after year. Grahe, at home. Eva, certainly. Apahaya, leaving. Purvachitti, bhuyaha, again. Eva, certainly. Ajam, what does it mean? Ajam? Lord Brahma, in this case. Because he was not born the conventional way, he was created by the Lord directly. Devam, the demigod. Upataste, approached. Translation, can you repeat after me? Purvachitti gave birth to these 9 sons, 1 each year. But after they grew up, she left them at home and again approached Lord Brahma to worship him. Now please remember that it is not like they were married for 9 years. It's clearly mentioned that Purvachitti lived with him for many thousands of years and luxuriously enjoyed both worldly and heavenly happiness. After that, she had 9 children, one after another. This we have to be very clear. So it's not like she's some loose society lady who just came, got children and went away. She did a job, in other words. So before we commence lecture, I seek we'll quickly read the purport by His Divine Grace, and I seek the blessings and permission of Senior Vaishnavas present here, that I may present the traditional purports of Srimad Bhagavatam as per the Acharyas, for your pleasure and my purification. Srila Prabhupada ki purport. There are many instances in which Apsaras, heavenly angels, have descended to this earth by the order of a superior demigod, like Lord Brahma or Lord Indra, have followed the demigod's order by marrying someone and giving birth to children. It's very difficult when somebody gives you that kind of an order. Please go marry somebody, have children with that person, and then come back. So you must see how surrendered these Apsaras are. And have them returned to their celestial homes. For example, after Menaka, this celestial woman who had come to delude Vishwamitra Muni, gave birth to the child. Who? Shakuntala. She left both the child and her husband and returned to the heavenly planets. Purvachitti did not remain permanently with Maharaj Agnidra after cooperating in his household affairs. Very important word. After cooperating in his household affairs. Excuse me. She left Maharaj Agnidra and all 9 sons and returned to Brahma to worship him. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we must understand that Apsaras, as Prabhupada mentions in the purport, are heavenly denizens. They are heavenly angels. Prabhupada uses the word angels. Or in Islam they use the word huris. In Christianity they use the word angels. There are various levels of angels also. Archangels are also there. So various levels of angels in Christianity. Similarly in Judaism and also in Islam there are various levels of angels. It is assumed there was an angel called Gabriel who came to announce the appearance of Lord Jesus Christ. And also they similar Jibril came and revealed the Holy Quran to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. As far as Vedic literature is concerned, who's translating? Very good. As far as Vedic literature is concerned, Srila Prabhupada mentions that they descend by order of a superior demigod. They don't just come down. They're very surrendered people. Although they have lot of skills, abilities, they're beautiful, they have various talents, they don't independently act. They descend only by superior order. So this is very important learning for us. We may have many qualities, but to enact our qualities or to work on them, we will need to come only on superior order. Then only is it properly used. We must also remember, therefore, that these Apsaras are not some loose women of loose character, no. They descend only by superior order of a demigod. So that makes them very, very special people. And just look at the level of surrender they have, that even marriage and giving birth to children is carried out as a service by the Apsaras, by superior order. Could be Indra or Brahma. It's not easy. Mothers can vouch for it. Giving birth is not fun. And to have 9 children on instruction. In the Western countries, they have a concept of empathy belly. Any of you have heard of that? Empathy belly. Now, empathy belly is a bag kind of thing which is filled with stones, which is worn by the husband for 9 months so that he can feel the pain of the wife. Of course, it's all artificial. I mean, what's the use of having an empathy belly and then aborting the child and divorcing the wife? So there is no meaning to the culture. However, we must understand that it is a painful experience, giving birth and 9 children. And these Apsaras do it. Tell me the names of some of the Apsaras you know. Raise your hand and say. Urvashi, okay, someone else, yeah. Menaka, yes. I asked one. If you know many Apsaras, that is also dangerous. Who's the third one? Yeah. Just tell me one name. Okay, Urvashi, yeah. Someone else? Yes. Rambha, okay, yes. Wow, yes. Smartphone. Only difference is it has not descended from the heavenly planets. It has probably come up from the hellish planets. You don't know. And a Vaishnava can say it is called a smartphone. So, yes. Tilottama, yes. There are many such apsaras. But we must remember that Ramba, Urvashi, Menaka, Tilottama, etc. are from Swargaloka. There is Bhu, Bhuvar, Suvar, Mahar, and it goes up. Purva Chiti is from Brahmaloka. She is sent by Brahma himself. Extraordinary person. So you can imagine, it is mentioned in scriptures that as we go up the lokas, the beauty and the capability of the denizens increases multiple times. Just imagine how beautiful Srimati Radharani will be. Don't even imagine, it's impossible. Acharyas say the most beautiful of the material beauty is nothing compared to that of the spiritual world. And even above that is that of the Vaikuntha planets. Still higher would be that of the various gopis of Goloka. And still higher would be Srimati Radharani. And then if Srimati Radharani is the internal potency of Lord Sri Krishna, just imagine how beautiful he will be. So, the reason I asked you to take these names also is very interesting. Srila Prabhupada mentions that one who desires a good wife should worship the apsaras. So now you know whom not to worship. The good people, that's what we have to understand. These are not apsaras, are not like, sometimes Prabhupada uses the word society lady from the higher planets. Prabhupada uses this word, society lady. But it doesn't mean they're like your typical kitty party women, no. They're extraordinary people. To carry out superior instruction without argument is a great quality. And the apsaras were excellent with that. And please remember, apsaras are extraordinary people. You know why? It's mentioned in 3rd canto, 20th chapter, 30th verse. It's mentioned that Prahasya Bhava Gambiram. Lord Brahma, with a smile and a mood of gravity, from his own loveliness, Kantya Sasarja, by his own loveliness, he created the Gandharvas and the Apsaras. That's how they came. They're not ordinary people. And you know why? You know what happened before that? Before that creation, Lord Brahma had created the demons. Now, the demons, being demons, got attracted to Lord Brahma. So what did Lord Brahma do? He approached the Supreme Lord. What else can you do? Indrari Vyakulam Logam Nidayam Yuga Yuga. Even Brahmaji is like that. Go to the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord said, just cast off this impure body. In other words, anything that attracts demoniac tendencies is an impure thing. If our body, our thoughts attracts impure thoughts in the connection with sense objects, then give up that body or thought. Brahma gave up the body. Just imagine the instruction. The Lord gives an instruction, give up the body. See Brahma's position. And he can give up the body at will. So he gave up the body, and that body took the form of twilight. Twilight is like the period between dusk and night, effectively. The Alpa Medasa, the stupid demons, they got attracted to that woman and tried to possess her. She looked like a woman, twilight. They tried to possess her. And then Brahma was safe. After that, from his own loveliness, he created the Gandharvas and the Apsaras. So that's how special they are. So we must understand the position of the Apsaras and how beautiful they are. And as you go up the lokas, the loveliness increases. Now, Purva Chitti did not remain permanently with Maharaj Agnidra. That's mentioned. She did not remain permanently with Agnidra. Any other story that you remember in connection with the Mahabharata? That sounds similar? Yeah? Yeah, Ganga. Ganga in the heavenly planet was attracted to Mahabhisha. And they were both cursed because he looked at her lustfully, or at least he did not take his eyes away when the breeze disturbed her upper cloth. So everybody else lowered their head. That's an example for brahmacharis, how we have to deal with sense objects. It's tough, but we have to try. Like Kurmanga Neva Eva Shaha, Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita. Like a tortoise withdraws its limbs. So many of the higher planet denizens, they lowered their glands. But Mahabhisha did not. And Ganga, it appears, did not mind being stared at. So both of them were cursed. By whom? Brahma. That's the connection. Brahma sent Purvachiti also, Brahma sent Ganga also. Different purposes, different backgrounds. And of course the story of the 8 Vasus headed by Dyav. Who was Dyav? Bhishma. He became Bhishma. He had to become Bhishma. Dyav was Vasu. But then he became Bhishma, and the Vasus requested Ganga that, why don't you become our mother? We don't want to become some rascals' sons. So when you're coming down to the material world, let us get married. Let us become your sons. And kill us immediately. So Vasishta Muni had given the benediction that 7 of you will come back immediately from the Martya Loka. Shine Punya Martya Lokam Vishyanti. From Martya Loka you can come back to the heavenly planet. But one of you who had the major role in stealing the cow will have to stay for a long time. So it's mentioned that Bhishma Dev was like almost 1,000 years old when the battle happened. 800 plus years old. So he had to go through that whole process. Now, after cooperating with Agnidra in household affairs, this is the word. In Bhagavad Gita, in the introduction, Srila Prabhupada mentions one thing about jivas. He says we are not controllers. What does he say we are? Who says? Cooperators. Thank you, Gordon. We are cooperators. So jivas are meant to cooperate. When Srila Prabhupada was about to leave his body, one of the final instructions he gave his disciples was to what? What? Cooperate. Organization and cooperation. Both. So cooperation is very essential in any ashram. Especially Grihastha ashram. Because people are coming from completely different backgrounds. And even the genders are different. At least in Brahmacharya ashram we may have different backgrounds, but at least we are all of the same type. Brahmacharya ashram or Brahmacharya ashram, as the case may be during Prabhupada's time. Some amount of cultural differences may be there, but at least fundamentally the psychologies may work out. So cooperation is very, very essential. And it is mentioned here that after cooperating with Agnidra for thousands of years, it's not a joke. You're coming from Brahmaloka, you're dealing with somebody from Jambudvipa, Bhuloka that too, and you have to adjust with that person. Just see the amount of difference that, or the gap in adjustment that has to be done. So that's a lesson for the mothers, how to cooperate with their husbands. And it is mentioned that whether it is husband or wife, there should be service of each other with Krishna at the center. ISKCON Congregation Ministry brings out a book. It's called The Third Partner. So those of you who are in Grihastha ashram could try getting that book. It gives interviews with some of the successful Grihasthas, how they keep Krishna at the center. Because it's mentioned for Grihastha ashram to succeed, the husband should be caring. The wife should be surrendered. Surrendered meaning doesn't mean become a doormat, but to be surrendered to the ashram. But finally, there should be Krishna at the center. Then the ashram will succeed. Ashrama means what? Ashraya. Ashraya of Krishna. Taking shelter of the Lord. We have over 175 Ashraya groups in Delhi NCR now. Haribol. They teach Srila Prabhupada books in a very, very systematic manner. There are many of us who are from the original Ashraya group. It was started by His Grace Mohan Prabhu in 2007. Then we had like 10 people quietly in some corner of the temple studying Prabhupada books. Now we have some 170 groups across Delhi NCR. Krishna Shakti Vina Kechu Shadi Nai Hai. So Ashraya is therefore important. Taking shelter. And if there is Ashraya, then there is Ashrama. So that's what Purvachiti did. She cooperated with her husband. And then cooperation doesn't mean coagulation. You know something called coagulation? There are some liquids, chemical liquids, they just get stuck. You don't want to get stuck. You don't want to get attached to the ashram. Even the body is temporary. What to speak about the ashram? Ashram is temporary. Varnashram dharma theoretically doesn't come in the 64 limbs of pure devotional service. It doesn't. So even that is temporary. Naham vipro nacha narapatir napi vaishona shudro naham varni nacha grahapatir novanasto yatirva. Jai Shri Shri Radha Parsarth Lalita Vishaka Shri Shri Gaunitai ki jai. Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai. So instead, what are we? We are Naham Vipro Nachanarapati etc. Neither Varna nor Ashma. What are we? Kupi Bhatur Padakamale or Dasa 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 no Dasa. Or Tvad Britya Britya Paricharaka Britya Britya Brityasya Britya Idimam Smara Lokanatha. Like it's mentioned in the Mukundamala Stotra. That's our actual identity, not in any ashram. So, to be a servant means to follow authority. And therefore, like a typical Brahmaloka denizen, she left Agnidra and his 9 sons and went back to Brahmaloka for what? To worship Brahma. Brahmaloka, they worship Brahma. Now, Satyaloka or Brahmaloka is a very dangerous place. Why dangerous? Because there the body is made up of ego, Prabhuji, mostly practically. Intelligence and ego. You're almost at pure consciousness platform. It is, please remember, almost. So from there, it is possible that one can perform pure devotional service and go upwards to Vaikuntha Lokas or to go up to Goloka. But you may just get stuck there because it is opulence of a certain type. It is almost this almost spiritual looking world. You may think this is the real one. So we should not get too comfortable with our position. This is the other thing that we have to remember in this exercise. Don't become caught in your comfort zone. Don't be comfortable in your position. Like Prabhupada says, death can come at any moment. And death doesn't mean just physical death. Death can become end of our comfort. Things may change anytime. They say the only thing permanent in this world is change. Change is what is permanent in this world. There is a fairy tale called Alice in Wonderland. I mentioned this 2-3 classes long back. As children, how many of you heard of this fairy tale, Alice in Wonderland? Yes. In that, there is a land. Alice enters in it. It's called Wonderland. Now, in this Wonderland, the land keeps moving. Now, if the land is moving and you have to walk, as per the laws of physics, what do you have to do? You have to keep moving. If you stay in one place, you will fall back. Like when you get down from a train or a bus, don't do this, but if you get out while the train has stopped fully, it has not stopped fully, then you have to just walk with the train a little bit before you stop. Similarly, on this Wonderland place that Alice went to, you have to keep walking in order to stay in one place. Krishna consciousness is exactly the same. If we try to be in our comfort zone and try to remain in one place or one situation, we will fall back. If we have to progress in Krishna consciousness, we have to keep moving. Or at least ensure that we don't digress from the path. We have to keep moving and try to keep moving ahead. That's what the acharyas say. That is why it is said, tat tat karma pravartanat. We have to keep doing whatever that has to be done at that point of time. We need utsaha, we need nishchaya and dhairya. For what? For tat tat karma pravartanat. We have to do that. Then we can keep moving without remaining in one place and falling behind. So, since she was an Apsara, she had to leave him, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. Since she was an Apsara, she had to leave him. What does that mean? Apsaras theoretically cannot get stuck with one husband. It's their dharma. Like Manushya dharma is that husband and wife have to be together. Till death do us part, the Christians pray. or in Hindu rituals they do Sat Fere, whatever, the 7 walks, Saptapadi it's called. You take commitment, birth after birth. Mama Janmani Janmani Ishware. Bhavadat Bhukti Rahetu Kitoi. Bhuktir Hetu Kitoi. It's not, we don't want to get stuck with that. It's not just a marriage partner. It could be any situation for us. Not to get stuck with that comfort zone. Apsara Dharma is that there are some exceptions like Ramba. Ramba was the wife of who? Who can say? Yes. Nalakuvara, son of Kubera. One of the two who got cursed by Narad Muni and became the Amalarjuna trees, Nalakuvara and Manigriva. So he was one who cursed Ravana because Ravana raped Ramba. And she said that anybody, you touch any woman without her desire, without her consensus, your head will break. So, Apsaras are powerful people. They can become the cause of doom for great personalities also. And it's mentioned that the 9 sons that you see, most of them, we already mentioned this part, that they have various Varshas were named after them. So these are exalted people. Agnitra's 9 sons. The eldest son was called Nabhi. Who was Nabhi's son? Lord Rishi. So we are getting into 6th canto in advance. This is a sneak preview of 6th canto. And it's mentioned that this is something for the mothers. I hope somebody can translate for them if they don't understand. That this is an example. This is an example for the Matajis. You should also not remain attached to your husband. Nor should you allow him to remain attached. One contemporary Acharya says one should know the art of being affectionate without being attached. One should be affectionate to the husband or the wife, but not be attached. This is Vaishnava Dharma. Not to be attached to anything except Krishna. Krishnartha Akhila Cheshtita, Rupa Goswami says. All activities should be performed for Krishna. So if husband and wife are in an ashrama with Krishna at the center, who should they try to please? Each other or Krishna? They should serve each other to please Krishna. I heard this from a senior Vaishnava. That they should serve each other to please Krishna. So that's the example that Purvachiti is setting for us. And mothers should remember that not only should they be attached to the husband, they should allow the husband to be attached to them. Otherwise, please see what happened to Agnidra. Please see what happened to Agnidra. Purvachiti, after 9 sons and thousands of years in the ashram, went back to Brahmaloka to worship Brahma. But what did poor Agnidra end up doing? He kept meditating on his wife. Because after thousands of years, his desires were not satisfied fully. So he kept meditating on her. And it's mentioned that he ended up going to Pitraloka. I haven't heard a clear explanation of what the acharyas say on this, saying that although she's from Brahmaloka, how did Agnidra end up going to Pitraloka? Because the explanation that we have in Bhagavatam is that he wanted to get good sons. And to get good sons, if you get good sons, then you get promoted to Pitraloka. Pitraloka is headed by Aryama. Aryama performed the service of Dharmaraja, Yama, when he became Vidura. At that time, he was performing that service. Aryama is the head of the Pitras. And Krishna says, Aryama is my Vibhuti. Pitranam Aryama Aham, something like that. Exact word. What is it? You remember the word shloka? Something like that. Among Pitras, I am Aryama. So, Pitraloka is that special place. But it is still in the material world. Agnidra kept meditating on his wife, who had already gone to a higher planet. And he ended up going to Pitraloka. Acharyas also say that he might have ended up reuniting with his former wife. So, even after 100 million years, it is mentioned in Bhagavatam, Ayuta, 100 million years. What happened to Agnidra? atrupta kamanam. His desires were not fulfilled. Like we hear about King Yayati. Just not satiated. It just doesn't happen. The example we give of feeding fuel to the fire to extinguish it. Does it work? Does it work? No? Yes? No. If we don't want to be atrupta kamanam, then we should take shelter of apta kama, which is Krishna. In Damodar Leela, one of the names mentioned by Sanatan Goswami of the Supreme Lord is apta kama. And in Ras Leela, 10th canto. 10th canto it is mentioned. One of the names of Krishna is, Srila Prabhupada mentions in the explanation of the Rasa dance in Krishna book. Please read that if you want to. One of the words used is, I think it's mentioned there also, apta kamanam. Krishna is always, his atma trupta, is always satisfied. His desires are always fulfilled. He doesn't need an external medium to fulfill his desires. So if we don't want to be atrupta kamanam, we should take shelter of apta kama. Otherwise we'll end up as Agnidra. Our purva chitti may be anything or anybody. It doesn't have to be an apsara even. It doesn't even have to be a human being. Like Prabhuji said, it could be a smartphone. It could be anything. Anything could be our purva chitti. Purva chitti changes for each person. Purva chitti changes according to purva vritti. Depending on the vrittis and samskaras we have in our consciousness, our attachment changes. And therefore we have to be very, very, very careful. Take shelter of apta kama. And like Purva Chitti had a higher goal. She wanted to worship Brahma at Brahmaloka. We have to develop a higher goal. And the mothers can take this example. They can guide their spouses also. And the Prabhus can guide the mothers accordingly. Together, there should be a higher goal that is developed. And for the various God brothers in the Brahmacharya ashram, unless we have a higher goal, we will not be able to give up our comfort zone. Thousands of years in heavenly happiness, it's mentioned. Both worldly and heavenly happiness. It's not just worldly happiness. If it is worldly happiness, then Purvachiti would have felt, this is nothing, I'll just go. It was heavenly happiness also. And she gave that up. And she could go up. So, we should develop a higher goal which made her cut her affection for her children also. It's mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that what stops somebody from pursuing a higher purpose in life is the loving words of the husband or the wife and the little childish prattle of the children that stops us from entering the next ashram. They speak in nice language, little children with their beautiful voice. They speak in a language that is very endearing. So much so that when they are chanting, the mothers are not able to focus on the holy name. They can only look at their holy daughters or holy sons. It's very attractive. And similarly for Prabhus also, it is not like mothers. It's the same. So while it is important to have the right samskaras to be provided to children, because it was so wonderful. I saw this one 4 or 5-year-old boy this morning. He entered the temple and he started immediately by offering Vancha Kalpa to all the Vaishnavas present first as he enters the temple. He was following all the processes perfectly. It's such a wonderful feeling to provide them the right samskaras. But at the same time, please don't be under the illusion that husband and wife will hold their hands, chant Hare Krishna and go back to Godhead together. No. Prabhupada says everyone has to fly his own plane. And there is nobody who will erect a statue for you because you have brought up your children perfectly in material world. No children will erect a statue for the parents. And no children should also think that parents are doing it out of complete selfless motive, that they are bringing them up. It is you scratch my back, I scratch yours. It's a relationship of convenience. Because if there is no Krishna at the center, if there is Krishna at the center, husband and wife will perform sadhana together, husband and wife will bring up children together to make them exemplary Krishna conscious children, Vaikuntha children, and at the right time husband and wife will detach from each other. It doesn't matter where they stay, that is secondary issue. Detachment from each other's dependence and attachment to dependence on Krishna. Because there is only 24 hours when one is devoting too much time to each other, their spouse or children, even if they are Vaishnavas, the time that you can give for Krishna does get reduced. There is a dilution in the quality of time that you give Krishna. We may even give physical time, but the quality of time you give Krishna comes down. And it's experience for all of us. We have some attachments that make us forget Krishna. The intensity of our devotion for Krishna comes down because of that. How many of us have had this experience at some point of time in Krishna consciousness? Yeah. Something that keeps us away from Krishna dilutes the time we have with Krishna also. When we are even trying to remember Krishna, the intensity of that remembrance or service comes down because our attachment is to something other than Krishna. So this is something that we can learn. Like Kunti Maharani prays, it is not like some sadhus alone. Kunti Maharani is one of the greatest Vaishnavis. She's praying to the Supreme Lord that please cut my affection for the Vrishnis and the Kurus or the Andakas. He says, please cut my attachment for both these families. So this is something that mothers and Prabhu should, who are in, say, a household or ashram, should aspire for. Because both parents and children should remember one thing. We just celebrated Narasimha Chaturdashi. Prahlad Maharaj prays to the Supreme Lord. Balasya neha sharanam pitarau nrsimha. Nartasya chagata mudanvadi majjataunu. Taptasya tat pratividir yehanjasya shtas tavat vibhota anubritam tvadupekshitanam. Without your mercy, my Lord Narasimha Dev, no parents can save their children. Let's not be under this illusion that we are bringing up our children. Krishna is bringing them up. We are facilitators. No boat can save a sinking man. No medicine can cure a sick person without the mercy of the Supreme Lord. This we should be clear. While we are performing our duties in Krishna conscious ashram, we should be clear that we are doing it very much, but let us please remember that karmanya eva adhikaraste is a verse for devotees. Karmanya eva adhikaraste. You can't tell this to people who are not practicing Krishna consciousness, whatever we say. That we may perform all the activities of Krishna consciousness. Still, does it guarantee that we will go back to Godhead, develop Krishna Prem or chant Shuddhanam? How many of us think so? It may happen because it is coming by mercy of the Acharyas and their instructions. But Krishna still retains right of first rejection. He is Swarat. Krishna can say no. I don't want you. He can still say, I don't want you. So it's very, very important for us that we may not get any reciprocation from the people we are serving in our ashram. Whether it is co-brahmacharis or whether it is spouses or anything. We may not get the same reciprocation. Agnitra was completely attached to Purvachiti. She said, okay, thank you, I have to go. I have to pursue my higher purpose. We should be very clear that our partners in whatever service we are doing or whichever ashram we are in may not reciprocate to our attempts of even affection or emotion or service. But Krishna will reciprocate. Krishna will definitely reciprocate. Ye yathamam prapatyande tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. As they surrender unto me. So that is for sure. You don't have to have any doubts on that. And that is why one of the symptoms of surrender is Rakshas Atiti Vishwaso. We should have the faith that Krishna will protect. He will reciprocate. So whichever ashram we are in, Sthane Sthitam, Shrutigadan Tanuvan Manopir, Jivan Disan Mukarita Bhavati Yavarta. We glorify the Supreme Lord and whichever ashram we are in. Agnitra could have done that. Okay, my wife is gone, fine. Now I'll just... Day before yesterday, I had an opportunity to render the service of delivering morning lecture at Rohini, ISKCON Rohini. So after the lecture, one person came to me. He was like some 55 years old. So he was saying that my wife has already passed away, but my mind is completely filled with desires. What do I do? Tadapina munjati asha pindam. Angam galitam. Dashana vihiram jatam tundam. Everything is gone. Still vruddhayandi grihitva dandam. Tadapina munjati asha pindam. It is not mentioned so badly for Agnitra, but we can imagine the amount of attachment. So we must pray to Lord Narasimhadev to remove such desires. Yati dasyasi me kaman varam stvam varadarshava kamanam hriti asamroham bhavatastu vranevaram. My dear Lord, awarder of benedictions, if at all you want to give me anything, please let there be no material desires inside me. Let there be no material desires. We are not saying please remove the material desires, because Narasimhadev can remove it in a way that may be very, very painful. So he's just saying let there be no material desires. I remember Arjun Prabhu, who preached a lot in Mauritius, Srila Prabhupada's disciple. He said, sitting on this ashram, in this asan, that it is a brahmachari shloka. It's a brahmachari shloka. Brahmachari is in all ashrams. Let there be no material desires in our heart. That's the prayer we should have. So we can request the Lord, Narasimhadev, to remove these desires and instead give us the desire to serve Krishna. Okay, let there be no desires. Then what? There should be some desire to serve Krishna. E dushta hridaye kama adiri puchai kutinati pratishtha sa satya shadarai hridaya shodana ara krishnera vasana nrsimha charane morai tokamana. Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays in Navadip Bhava Taranga, verse number 36. Within my sinful heart, the 6 enemies. What are the 6 enemies? Okay, anyway, everyone knows. What have we done about it? We know the enemies. So that's the first part. So this is the second part. Within my sinful heart, the 6 enemies headed by lust. Let's be clear. Headed by lust. Perpetually reside, as well as duplicity, desire for name, fame, plus sheer cunning. Cunning means cheat, connive, do anything. Pranam kritva gritam pibet. At the lotus feet of Lord Narasimha, I pray. I hope that He will mercifully purify my heart and give me the desire to serve Lord Krishna. He doesn't say, give me the desire to serve Him. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is praying clearly that he prays Narasimhadev that he removes the desires which are coming out of the enemies in my heart and awards me instead the desire to serve Lord Krishna, because Krishna is a source, sarva karana karanam. It should be clear. And therefore we pray to the Lord to remove these material desires and to award us spiritual desires. Now we have a last 2-3 minutes before we start question and answers. I want to just give an interesting theory. Maharaj Priyavrata, who was father of Agnidra, whose son was Priyavrata? Whose son was he? Swayambhu Manu. It's not Swayambhuva. Swayambhu's son. Swayambhu is Brahma. Swayambhu's son is Swayambhuva Manu. Swayambhuva Manu wanted to go to the forest for spiritual purposes. So he wanted his son, who was meditating in the forest for spiritual purposes, to come back to the material world, so to say. Now which son will agree? Is that no? So he went back to his father. Who was his father? Lord Brahma. Same Lord Brahma, who sent Purvachitti for Agnidra, got Priyavrata back into management, universal management. But what is mentioned is that Brahma sent Purvachitti to Agnidra, but Agnidra remained attached to her. Whereas Brahma got Priyavrata out of the austerities that he was performing into universal management or into management of the world around him. But what did Priyavrata do? After ruling for 11 crore years, he began criticizing himself. Alas, how condemned I have become because of my sense gratification. I have now fallen into material enjoyment, which is exactly like a covered well. I have had enough. This is what we should be saying. Sushta nishtivanam cha, Yamunacharya says. Say yes to Krishna. Vote for Krishna. Vote for Gauranga. Don't vote for Maya. Say yes. I had enough. I have become like a dancing monkey, he says. Vinoda Mrigam. He's lamenting. Priyavrata. So it is mentioned that in the very next verse, in 38, I think, 5.1.38, that he regained his discrimination. He regained his discrimination by the mercy of the Lord. Why? Because he chose Krishna, Krishna chose him. Agnidra chose Purvachitti, so he got a different destination. Yanti Deva Vrata Devan, Pitrun Yanti Pitrun Vrata. You worship demigods or get attached to them, the worship goes to Krishna because Yajanti Aviti Purvakam. Where does a worshipper go? Worshipper goes to the higher planet or wherever it is. He doesn't go to Krishna. So therefore, like we mentioned, you have to fly your own plane. Priyavrata flew his own plane. Agnitra couldn't. It also means that being a son of a Vaishnava is no guarantee that you will go back to Godhead. Just because you're a son of a lawyer, you may get to run a firm. You're son of a doctor, you may be able to run that hospital. You're son of a Vaishnava doesn't mean you become a Vaishnava. We know Anga's son was Vena. There's no guarantee. And it is mentioned, therefore, we don't need Purva Chitti to get distracted from our consciousness, from our Krishna consciousness. We don't need any Purva Chitti. Our capabilities are much lesser. We have to ask ourselves this question, introspect. Srila Prabhupada said, cause of my success, one of the causes of my success was that I was introspective. If I am introspective, I will think, who is my Purvachitti? What is my Purvachitti? Ask ourselves that question. It could be anything. It is mentioned here, Devarshi Charananu Shayana Nanu. Priyavrata had the association of Narad Muni. Therefore, he could understand his position and again go back to a life of spirituality after ruling the universe for 11 crore years. Bharat Maharaj and Agnidra didn't have that advantage. So, who is our Purvachitti? Who is dear to us? Which deer is dear to us, like Bharat Maharaj? We have to ask ourselves that question. And that means we should value the association around us. Whatever we have around us, these are the people who will chant for us when we are going to die. We should value the association that we have. It is these same devotees who will save us from our Purva Vritti and save us from getting entangled with our Purva Chitti. So, like Srila Prabhupada quotes Veera Raghavacharya, I conclude with this. Deha geheyo atmiya buddhi jihashaya tyagechaya. Prabhupada uses the word tyagechaya. We should give up the desire for all forms of material attachment and try to attach our desires to the Supreme Lord by prayer and by constant capability. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We have time for one comment or question. Prabhu, would you like to say something? Sridham Prabhu? Prabhuji, would you like to say something? This mic can... Thank you. So just to recap this for whoever couldn't hear Prabhuji's voice. Prabhuji was saying not only in the spiritual world, even in the material world, people undergo a lot of austerities. They sacrifice food, drink, etc., sleep to achieve their goal. So even there they have to come out of their comfort zone. So if at all we want to achieve our full potential and achieve something of importance, a higher goal, we have to come out of our comfort zone. That is why Tapo Divyam for us in this world. So I thank you all for your patient listening. Beg forgiveness for